When someone exposes what they believe to be wrongdoing or corruption inside of an organization with hopes of putting a stop to it, that person is called a whistleblower. In the past, these were often government workers, but these days, whistleblowers also include a lot of tech workers. That's according to one of the leading groups that help them come forward. I'm Jennifer Strong, and this is Shift.
Now here on the steering column is a device called Auto Cruise. You simply set the speed you want.
Self-driving robo-taxis are already on the road in 2 U.S. cities.
As the disc rotates, a mirror reflects the light in the way that depends on how the signal was recorded.
This is the 100 terabyte optical. I present to you Electro, the Moto Man.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I would say that one of my greatest skills is my ability to interact with humans.
This episode, it's the latest installment of our oral history project. Support for this podcast comes from Motific, bridging the gap between concept and deployment by accelerating deployment and helping ensure compliance throughout the process. Visit motific.ai to learn more.
We decided that we were going to focus on the area of big tech because of the outsized impact the decisions of so few have in big tech. And the companies are the size of nation states. So the consequences of those decisions are felt by people all over the world, regardless of whether you're on that platform or not. Hi, I'm Libby Liu. I'm the CEO of a nonprofit called Whistleblower Aid, supporting and amplifying the work of public interest whistleblowers. So these are people who see something, either a government or corporate wrongdoing, and their consciences won't let them stay silent. We were on stage with a Boeing whistleblower, right? I mean, you don't have to wait until a plane falls out of the sky before you realize that whistleblowers are your early warning system. And if you want your corporation not to go through one of these horrific tragedies where people lose their lives and then you have to play PR games, listen to your whistleblowers, okay? It's just the smartest thing to do. And I wish corporate leadership would realize that the whistleblowers are doing them a favor. You had the same situation in the Baltimore Bridge collapse. You had the same situation in the Titan submarine that blew up on the way to the Titanic. All three of these huge disasters had whistleblowers ahead of them that warned the corporations exactly about these things. The corporations and the governments, the people who want you to keep their secrets, they have a whole playbook on, what they're going to do to try to make you silent. It starts from the day you join when they ask you to sign an NDA, and the NDA is very widely worded and, enormous in scope, and it's supposed to outlast your employment. I mean, that's the first thing. So already you feel like you can't say anything. But remember that NDAs were originally created for trade secrets, which is a completely legitimate reason for an NDA. NDAs have been weaponized by people who want to force lower-level employees to keep their secrets. And the reality is when people are in a company or a government agency, they see something that they find is very, very concerning, they normally will go up the chain of command in their organization because they think everybody shares their values, right? They think that their boss and their boss's boss are going to be just as outraged as they are and want to change things. So by the time a whistleblower gets to Whistleblower Aid, they have had this long period between when they found out about the terrible secret and when they decided that they cannot stay silent about it anymore. So when they get to us, there's always some level of PTSD because it's very traumatic. And the organization, if not your friends in the organization, have treated them badly in between, either A, by not addressing their problem, or B, isolating them, gaslighting them, and sometimes threatening them. There are all kinds of things, firing them, sending them to Siberia, all of those kinds of things. So by the time they come to this decision themselves that they just can't live with the secret anymore because it's hurting people, it's hurting the public, then they have a substantial amount of trauma. And that's where we come in. 50% of our work never sees the public light because it's dealing with national security and oftentimes classified information. So those are done completely off the radar, and there are very specific legal avenues and steps that you have to take for them. The cases that you hear about are public cases. We partnered with NGOs that work with tech workers. So we did a series of webinars where we tried to explain to them what we do and, some simple do's and don'ts for if you see something horrible, what should you do? And a big part of our job is helping the whistleblower navigate the legality of how they want to bring this thing to light. And when somebody puts their career and their life on the line, we want to make sure that A, they are empowered by finally having their voice, and B, that people that can action those facts or truths or evidence receive them. In the tech sector, I would say that our first major case was Frances Haugen, former program manager at Facebook, and she came out of Facebook with tens of thousands of pieces of evidence consisting of hundreds, maybe 1,000 internal research projects that demonstrated that despite their public narrative, Facebook knew very well what the consequences of their decisions were. They knew very well what the solutions were, and they chose not to implement them. So that was a watershed moment in the tech accountability space. We were very careful to make sure that all of the timing was there so that Frances could help people understand what they saw. Because in any company of this magnitude that is engaging in harmful behavior, the internal lexicon they use is not intuitive. Like the team that they had that was looking at the genocide problem was called the Social Cohesion Team, which sounds very nice. It doesn't sound like genocide. So you really need a translator. So she had to service as that. After that, the next big one was Mudge, Peter Zatko from, at that time, Twitter. He had been recruited by Jack Dorsey to give him the ground truth on what was happening in Twitter. Mudge had spent his entire career trying to make the internet safe for the public, so he decided to do that. Then after that, we had other whistleblowers from Twitter and then X talking about God mode and how virtually every engineer at the company could take over anybody's account on the platform. Recently, we launched a case about Airbnb, which dismantled its dangerous organizations team, which had been put together after the riot in Charlottesville. Our client was an expert on terrorist organizations, hate groups, violent organizations, or everybody under that dangerous organizations category. And for a time, they were very serious, and our client was thrilled to be part of this team. They did a lot of research to determine who was or was not dangerous, and they removed them from the platform because the last thing you need is to rent a home, go into a stranger's house, and have it be scary, right? And their business model is to put strangers in strangers' homes. So it was a really, really good program. And they dismantled it, but they still represent to the public that it happens. So those are just a few of the tech cases. There's a whole segment of whistleblowers that are people that are in it for an award because the agencies, like the SEC, offer an award, a portion of any monetary damages the government recovers. And there is a huge legal industry that just focuses on for-profit whistleblowing, basically. That's not what we do. We represent the public interest whistleblowers, the ones that are doing it because of their conscience, because they want to see something better happen in the world for the public, for the community. And oftentimes, these people don't have a lot of money. They are likely fired from their job. They're likely blackballed in their industry. And they're just trying to do the right thing. And these high-powered lawyers that charge thousands of dollars an hour are not going to take their case. I'd really like to see further destigmatization of whistleblowers. I think in the United States, we've made a lot of progress. I mean, I think that we have the most advanced whistleblower protection laws in the world. And I think because of, Francis and the first administration Trump whistleblowers and, public whistleblowers that people see have made a difference, the tobacco industry, oil and gas. I think that it's really, really important that people see whistleblowers for the courageous people they are. They're always accused of wanting to be in the spotlight. They don't want this kind of attention, okay? Nobody wants this kind of attention. It's really, really horrible. And, we always tell them, stop looking at your social media because it's going to be bad. If somebody really wants to support you, they'll find a way of letting you know, right? If your friends actually believe in the same things you do, they know how to reach you. I think it's really important that globally we destigmatize whistleblowing and then create more and more protections. Right now at the Federal Trade Commission, whose job it is to make sure that consumers are protected online, does not have a whistleblower program or a whistleblower protection policy. I mean, they're very, very good. I've never heard of them burning a whistleblower, but it's because of the people, right? And you would like it to be enshrined in law that they must be protected. The one very important takeaway is these companies and these agencies get away with this because they're big and strong and scary and rich. Okay, it takes a society approach to try to address broken systems that are endangering people. And this is particularly important in the area of tech and children. Because after Frances came out, she started this, the awareness of what Facebook knew was happening to kids on Instagram, etc. And it caused the U.S. Senate to take up a very serious legislation, the Kids Online Safety Act. And to get it through the Senate a week ago, it took, advocates bringing families who had lost their children because of this, horrible exposure that they experienced to get it across the line. And I think that's a really important truth. You need more than just the truth. You need people who have the heart and the expertise to take that truth and make it impactful change.
Support for this podcast comes from Outshift. Cisco's incubation engine's newest AI innovation, Motific, is bridging the gap between concept and deployment, accelerating deployment while reducing security, trust, compliance, and cost risks. Motific provides advanced policy controls to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data and helps ensure compliance throughout the process. Visit motific.ai to learn more. This episode was produced by me and Emma Silikins and mixed by Garrett Lang, with original music from him and Jacob Gorski. Thanks for listening. I'm Jennifer Strong. Support for this podcast comes from Outshift. Cisco's incubation engine's newest AI innovation, Motific, is bridging the gap between concept and deployment, accelerating deployment while reducing security, trust, compliance, and cost risks. Motific provides advanced policy controls to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data and helps ensure compliance throughout the process. Visit motific.ai to learn more.